This is Ocelot Productions. This is Jess, I'm Zayn, and this is Alicia. Today we're going to be discussing our head-on. The premise of my short film idea is that a teenager at the age of 16 with a promising future as a writer is struck with cancer. The film builds up his character by showing him in a school with his friends and teachers whom he has a positive relationship with, and this then forms a connection with the audience through him being relatable to them. He lives in a rundown area but is friends with the hoodlums and they all respect him. Violence is a common occurrence in the area, however, the protagonist only watches his surroundings and is not physically affected by them. Towards the end of the film, he passes out on his way home to be awoken in a hospital bed where he is informed of his terminal illness by a doctor. The movie ends with a tear running down the side of his face and the sound of a life machine slowly declining into a long beep. The pictures I've included would be settings that we could use in the film. For example, here we have what could be used for the end shot. Since it has the monitor in frame, we can see the beeping, which will then fade to black, and then the sound of the life machine playing would signify his death. Here we have the classroom, which would be a significant setting in the film, as there will probably be a scene in which the protagonist is either getting a test result back or is getting praised by his teachers, and thereby establishing a good relationship between them. Here we have an example of his friendly relationship with his teachers. It would present the protagonist as a character that people would look up to. Here we have a rundown area where the film would most likely begin. I think the film would start with him leaving his house and it would follow him in a day of his life. Here we have an area which could be seen on the way to school. He would walk through an area similar to this where you can see violence happening near him. For example, a woman in an alleyway getting her bag stolen, and then the perpetrator would rush past him, knocking him over slightly, but he would pay no attention to it and continue walking to school. Here we have the point of view shot for looking at his feet whilst being taken through a hospital. It's an important scene since it shows the protagonist's downfall. And lastly, we have an outfit that he would most likely wear, which would contrast to the area that he lives in and the outfits that other characters in the film would wear. He's a sixth form student at the age of 16, and he would be following the dress code to represent that he isn't a rule breaker.
So for my initial storyline, I didn't have any ideas, but I think that this picture inspired me. This picture represents a happy family environment. It's kind of representing a united family. I think I want my main characters to be a family, so that'd be a mum, a dad and a kid. I think it's best suited for our genre as well, and it'll work well with the initial ideas. So the next picture I got was of war. I think this represents some sort of turbulence that happens in the family. I think I decided that the father was going to be a soldier who was fighting in the war. This would have a big impact on the family and their everyday life. And then the next picture I got was this guy, he's dead in the war. I think initially the father might die in the film. That might be a tragedy for the family or something. And then we move on to the mum comforting the son, who's really struck by the tragedy as he hasn't got a father figure in his life anymore. But then the son moves on to joining gangs and stuff, and his mum can't cope, so she has a mental illness or something. And then in the end, I don't want any tragedy, I think I want a happy ending. So the boy sees what he's done to his mum and helps her. Yeah, that's the initial idea. I think the main characters would be the father, the mother and the son.
My short film idea is about an 18-year-old boy who escapes his troubles related to drugs, gangs and peer pressure by releasing it through boxing. This explores key themes which are presented in social realism films, as we're going to talk about the boxer and how he combats everything that he's related to. Just as our boxer begins to get better in his previous life full of gangs and violence, it soon follows him and begins to taunt him on his social networking sites. But determined to set a positive influence on his fans, he combats everything and shows everyone that he'll get over them. My first three pictures are pictures of what will be our teenage boy boxing. you'll have shots of him in the ring actually fighting with someone, and you'll have shots of him training. This will be throughout the film. This can be where he can go to relieve stress, where he can go to relieve any family issues that he may have, or so that it gets him out of trouble and he's not in gangs and in violent areas. In the other picture you see that this is an estate. This is where our boxer lives, and this is where he'll get into his gang trouble and his violence. This also goes along with the typical conventions of socialism films, because you normally expect to see them set in estates. Our last two pictures are about social networking sites. As you can see, there's a little boy crying, and then there's a bully through the screen. The boy crying was supposed to represent our boxer. This shows us that he was being cyberbullied through these social networking sites. And through all of this, we're going to show that he gets through all of it, and he shows people that they can be the stronger person. So our social realism is going to set a key theme throughout all of it.